Are you ready to take your business to the next level and make the money you want so that you can create the impact you desire? Then you're in the right place. It's possible to run a successful business built around your life. Get ready for a little bit of tough love and a whole lot of strategy to grow your business without sacrificing your sanity. If you're ready to get out of your own way and step into the role of CEO, then let's go. I'm Amy Traw, and this is the Motivated CEO Podcast. We are back again on the Motivated CEO Podcast. Today, I am joined by Jackie Dragone, and we are talking all about how to reignite our voice, because our voice is what makes us stand out in this entrepreneurial space. And in a sea of sameness that exists on social media, it is so important now more than ever that we are indeed doing that, igniting our voice. But before we dive in, I would love to welcome in Jackie to the podcast. Share more about yourself with our listeners, who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Yes. Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for having me. I am an online business coach for entrepreneurs. I help you with sales, marketing, and really creating unique standout messaging that is going to set your brand apart from everybody else online. I always say that I believe in using the inside out method for creating content and messaging, meaning you don't go external to see what you should say, you go internal and then put that out into the strategy.
Yeah, that is so powerful, because how often are we focused on the external? We're focused on what everybody else is doing, what we think we should be doing, that we lose sight of, what actually matters to us. So I think that's so important. And I love that you take that inside out approach in leaning into it. And that's something I think a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling with right now, is finding that messaging that really resonates with those ideal clients. So where does someone even start to unpack this and find their voice again?
Yeah, I think the best place to start is your own story and your own journey. Most people build a business or because they've had like an experience in life or a problem that they needed solved and it didn't exist. Or like if you're a product-based business, let's say you needed a product that didn't exist. So you get the idea and you create it. That's one example. Or if you're a coach of some kind, you live through a scenario where you were able to get yourself from one place into another place that is highly desired by your ideal client. So it's looking at, okay, well, where were you? What steps did you start to take? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were your emotions? What were your fears? What were your desires? Looking at all of that, that's like right there, just writing that out for yourself. That is your brand voice. That is what you want to say in your content. That is what you want to bring to the table. It already exists within you. So step one is really looking at your own experience and your own things that you've already done and accomplished in life in order for you to be where you are and to be able to coach what you coach.
And to really own it too, because that's what sets us apart from the crowd. And I think a lot of times we're scared of owning it. We're scared of the judgment. We're scared of success. We're scared of all of the things, these underlying narratives that are running rampant in our mind. So, when somebody's like, okay, I'm starting to unpack this, I know I need to share my story more. What's your approach to doing that? Because this could be an uncomfortable process for many people.
Yeah, I think looking at what are the standout parts of your story. It is like there's nothing I can say to you to make you feel less vulnerable sharing your story. I think we start there. Like that's point one. That's part one. There's really nothing I can say to you to make you feel less vulnerable. However, putting up a guard and pretending like everything is perfect or you're further along than you are, or you're like you've accomplished some major thing, or you have to be perfect, or you have to be this like stand on the mountaintop only person, that's actually blocking you from people like being magnetized to you. I really think it's your imperfections and your honesty that call people forward more so than anything else. So I know that it's going to be vulnerable what I'm asking you to do. And also I want you to know that it's going to have other people see you as human. Other people are going to see you as human. Think about like if it feels hard for you and you want to step one, look at the content that you consume that makes you go, oh my gosh, like I need to know more about that person. I guarantee they didn't just tell you like 3 ways to eat more protein or 5 ways to grow your business this year. They said something that connected with your heart and your soul. It was like deeper, more emotional, more vulnerable, and it moved your spirit and your soul in some way. And then you were like, I want to know more about them, or at least follow them, or maybe I need to work with them right now. So step one is like before we even get into the strategy is knowing that this piece of being able to be yourself and be vulnerable is the most magnetizing and attractive thing that you can do for your brand.
And that's such an important point that you made that, it's going to be vulnerable. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
feel tough at first, but you can work
Mm-hmm.
through that. And once you own that and embrace that and realize that, okay, guess what? You're just a human. You're selling to
Yeah,
other humans. Like,
exactly.
can we just
Exactly.
normalize all of this? It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be weird and icky and sleazy
Yeah.
and all
Right.
of these connotations that we've really put onto sales. We've really
Mhm.
become, associated
Yeah.
with. It's like, no, you're a
Yeah.
human. And by humanizing your brand, by showing up authentically,
Yes.
it does exactly what you said. It's magnetizing, it's drawing those people in because now you're forming those deeper connections. And that can
Hmm.
be a challenge for a lot of people to do. They're consuming
Hmm.
content and they're like, okay, this girl, she's in my head. She's getting what I'm going through. She sees me.
Hmm.
But then, as a business owner, how can we bridge that gap from, okay, I see what really good messaging is, but
Hmm.
I don't know how to turn my story
Hmm.
into that type of messaging that's going
Hmm.
to draw those people in?
Hmm. Let's give like a real tangible example because I love tangible examples.
Hmm.
Tell me a piece of your story. Like where were you before you are at where you are now?
So, for me, I worked in healthcare for 16 years prior to starting my first
Yes.
business.
Yeah. And when you were working in healthcare, I bet you were sitting there having thoughts like, I don't know if this is it. I feel like I was made to do bigger things. I feel a little bit trapped.
Oh, for
I
years.
for you,
Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. So when we're peeling back the layers of your story, just as an example, it's looking at, okay, well, where were you that day when you were sitting at your, like, I don't know what type of healthcare you did, but you're sitting at your desk, you're working, you're typing up the 17th document that day, your back hurts, it's beautiful outside, you want to go walk around, and you're literally like thinking to yourself, this is not it for me. I feel like there's so much more. And if I think this, I bet other women are thinking this too. So, what is the next step that I'm going to take to live the life that like my soul is telling me to live? Because some people are totally fine with their job, and that's okay. But you're not, and your ideal client isn't. So it's like pulling out like the real actual life picture and emotion and scenario that you were sitting in, remembering that. And then saying, okay, so step one was I signed up for this course, or I don't know what you really did, but like step one is I like started to learn how do I build a business. And then from there, it's like what you said to me before we even hit record. I just started to make quick decisions and take action. And before I knew it, I turned around 3 years later and now I'm running like there's a podcast, I have a book, and it's like, it's absolutely incredible. Like, I can't even believe that 5 years ago, 4 years ago, however long it was, I was sitting in that desk literally dreading every day. And here I am. Right. So that right there, that's your one of your brand stories. And you put that into your messaging depending on like what who your ideal client is. If your ideal client is someone that wants to leave their job and start a business, if that's your ideal client, that's the perfect story to start with, right? So I do want to thread it together that you want the story to match the desire of your ideal client. But when you can see the things that you've accomplished that are what your ideal client wants now, then you can look at, okay, well, how have I already done what they want and talk about it?
Exactly. It does not have to be complicated. I love how you use like a real time example because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we know
Yeah.
what we need to do. We know the theory behind it. We
Yeah.
just don't know how to implement it. So that was a fabulous, fabulous description of,
Yeah.
okay, here's how you go from point A to point B. It's as simple as Jackie just
Yeah.
said. It's
Yeah.
not like stop overthinking it. Because what happens is we're overthinking it
Mhm.
and then we're sitting in that indecision. We're sitting in that inaction.
Exactly.
And then we wonder why we don't get the results that we desire because you're sitting. You're sitting and not taking action and you're blending in. And something else you posted about recently is we end up filtering ourselves then. We end up really putting this filter up and blending in with the same things that everyone else is saying, what everyone else is doing things that we think we should be doing. And then we end up losing our spark and really losing our voice in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I see that a lot. And I think it comes from people want to know, they ask me, well, what should I be posting in my content? Well, what formula should I be following? And I'm like, well, there's certain things you want to touch on. Like you want to tell your story, you want to share what you're working on with your clients, you want to be able to position your offers as like the way to get somebody a result, you want to have a brand voice, but also what like you can use those things, but underneath each category, well, what do you want to say in particular about that? I always think like, don't try to sit down and make content. Sit down and look at what's actually going on around you. What's actually going on in your life, in your ideal clients' businesses, in the way that you coach, in a problem that you faced in your own life or business that this week that you had to overcome. Look around you and sit in it and say, what is real? What's actually happening? That's my content. And especially then you want to thread it back to one of your offers, right? So if your offer is selling something, let's just say right now I'm selling like a business intensive. I could use any one of those examples and talk about how my client was totally in the weeds in our business. And then we implemented this one strategy. And here's why we simplified it and did it that way. Then she got this result. And it all happened in 24 hours. And if you want to do this too, like I have an intensive for you, right? So it's taking a real life example, putting it into your content, threading it to your offer, and calling it a day because it's authentic, it's real, it's not forced, and nobody else can make that content because it came from your real life.
Exactly, exactly. And then when you take that approach, you're not struggling sitting at a blank screen going, I know I need to post and I don't
Right.
know what I'm going to post, so I'm going to put up a really
Right.
crappy post. You know, just
Right.
because again,
Exactly.
we think we should. We think we should be doing all of these things, but that's a beautiful kind of formula
Mm-hmm.
in a way to reframe it, to
Mm-hmm.
make this process really resonate and
Mm-hmm.
feel lighter, feel aligned. And again,
Mm-hmm.
just go back to finding our voice. And a lot of times I
Mm-hmm.
think we lose our voice and we
Mm-hmm.
start to adopt everyone else's goals
Mm-hmm.
as our own because
Mm-hmm.
we want to be accepted
Yes.
at the end of the day, right? Like we
Yeah.
want people to like
Yes.
us. We want to be accepted. We don't want to be the outcast. It's
Yeah.
that really primal need. What's your take on that?
Yeah. This is something I've faced a lot recently, like the need to be liked and accepted and letting go of it. Also, something I'm really into is human design. And if do you know your human
Yeah,
design?
I'm a man
What
who's
are you?
in.
Amazing. Do you know your profile lines?
I do. They're written down, but I don't remember
You
like
don't remember them
exactly
off the
what they
top of
are.
your head. So I'm a generator, but when you know your profile lines and your gates, it gets like deeper.
Yeah.
So everybody has like their main gate. My main gate is gate 21, which is literally the gate of you're like here to kind of control and oversee situations, but also in a provocative way. Like it's meant to be provocative. And I don't mean that in like,
Sure.
I'm going to, dance around provocative, but it's meant like thought provoking and like kind of saying things that are shocking sometimes. And that's
Almost
kind of my
triggering.
personality sometimes. Yeah, it's almost like triggering, but like it's not malicious. It's just like you're made to help people see things from a different angle, even if it's hard for you to say out loud or hard for them to hear in the moment, is literally part of what I'm designed to do. But I hope back on it a lot because I also don't want to offend people. And, it's like a conditioned as women, like be nice, play nice. Everybody wants to get along, like the whole thing. But really, I'm doing the world a disservice because I could really say one thing or see something differently. And if I would just speak up, it could change the pathway for somebody, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable. And it doesn't have to be uncomfortable, but whether it's just, it causes like a little bit of friction in the moment, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it creates progress. So I think like sometimes we do have these things that we're made to say and we're made to do, and not everybody is going to be on board with it. And it's such a hard hit if you, I don't know, I'm like firstborn daughter. I feel like that just lends itself to being people
Same.
pleaser. You are too, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So you're
I
like,
get you.
it's really hard to let go. It's really hard to let go of. But I mean, even I was watching the documentary, or it's not a documentary, it's a show about the creator of Uber, which is like a whole controversial topic because he did some crazy things. But I will tell you, if you watch him, he's not trying to be liked by everybody. He's like, I'm going to build this brand. Aside from the things that he did that were not great, there's something to be said for the, like, there's just the commitment to the vision and not wavering around it, not wavering around your own vision because Apple wanted them to do it this way or another company wanted them to do it that way. It's like committed to your vision. And sometimes that just requires you to say your truth.
Yeah. And it takes practice. It really does. I'm the oldest child. I'm the daughter. I am the people pleaser. I mean,
Yeah.
1000%.
Yes.
And I'm an
Yes.
Enneagram 9. So, I mean, that really like, oh my gosh, I've got the perfect storm going on here. So, something that really struck
Yeah.
me, and I heard this a few years ago, Lindsay Schwartz said it, you
Yeah.
have to be willing to be misunderstood by a few
Yes.
in order to impact
Yes.
many. And that's so
Yes.
true. And that's
So
something
good.
I literally have on my wall so that I can see it every single day
Yeah.
because it's practice. It takes practice to be like, you know what? I'm not going to be for everyone. And that's hard,
Mm-hmm.
but the more I realize that, the more I embody that, the more committed to my vision I remain is exactly as you said.
Mm-hmm.
By not showing up, by not being myself, by not being fully, truly who I am and so committed to that vision, I am doing a disservice to others because now I'm playing
Yeah.
small. And
Right.
by me putting things in just the right way, just in a different way, that could be the catalyst that could change someone's
Mm-hmm.
life. And it's
Exactly.
the same with you. If you are listening to this episode and you're like, I
Mm-hmm.
know, but I don't want to be judged. I get it. It's hard and it's okay. Feel the emotions. We're not telling you that you need to just be like, well, nope, I don't care. Like totally detached from the
Mm-hmm.
outcome. No, it's okay. Feel those
Mm-hmm.
emotions,
Mm-hmm.
but realize that now by you stepping into your power, that
Mm-hmm.
you're able to serve, that you're able to impact, that you're able to truly ignite your voice. Jackie, you gave us so many awesome, tangible
Mm-hmm.
takeaways, so much strategy to help us really find our voice. Where
Mm-hmm.
can we learn more about you? How can we
Mm-hmm.
get into your world and
Yeah.
work with you? Tell us all the
Mhm.
things.
Yes. Well, you could listen to the podcast. It's called Becoming Wildly Successful, available on most of the streaming platforms. So go over there. I talk a lot about content, messaging, and just owning who you are on the show. And Amy will be coming on the show as well. So definitely come check it out. And then the other place to find me truly is Instagram. My Instagram is at I am Jackie Dragone. Come on over, say hi in the DMs. I have a ton of ways for entrepreneurs that want to ignite their voice and really build a standout brand that changes the world. That's the mission I'm on, to work with me. So just come over, say hi. I would love to know your biggest takeaway and just get to know you a little bit better.
Amazing. Jackie, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to just pour into our listeners today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me.
And until next time, cheers to making the money you want so you can create the impact you desire. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.